Hello everyone. So today in this session I would like to discuss an overall quick revision of the lesson life process. So in the previous sessions I have explained you in detail about this lesson. So once let us have a quick review about this lesson. So when I talk about the life process, you know that there are so many life processes which are taking place inside a living organism, right? So some of the life processes like the respiration, the nutrition, circulation, excretion, and reproduction, movement, growth, control, and coordination, all these are the types of life processes. If all these processes are taking place inside a body of a living organism, then we can say that organism is alive. Okay? So, and these life processes are necessary, they are very important for the survival of all the living organisms. So under that, we have studied about the modes of nutrition. So under modes of nutrition, I have taught you two modes, right? So hope you all remember. Which are the two modes? One is, correct, it is autotrophic, and the another one is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So then what is autotrophic mode of nutrition? Come on, you all know, right? So autotrophic nutrition is the mode of nutrition where the living organisms prepare their own food. Then which kind of living organisms are preparing their own food? Question mark. You know, right? It is none other than the green plants. All the green plants have the capacity to prepare their own food. So hence we call them as autotrophs, and the mode of nutrition which they are following, we call it as autotrophic mode of nutrition. So now let us understand how these green plants prepare their own food. So you all know that the green plants prepare their own food. Then by following what or which process it is going to prepare its food? Green plants prepare their own food by following the process of photosynthesis. Then what are the requirements for photosynthesis? Let us understand how the green plants prepare their own food. Or it may be a question like this. The question may be how the autotrophic nutrition occurs in the plants by using the photosynthesis process. You know, the plants prepare their own food by using carbon dioxide and water. And what does it need? It needs sunlight, right? It needs sunlight as well as the chlorophyll. So these are the requirements for the process of photosynthesis. So when these all things are being received to a plant, what happen? It start to prepare its own food. As a result, what are the products formed? The products formed are the glucose, that is C6H12O6 glucose. Along with the glucose, oxygen and water is also being released as a byproduct. Right? So now, for the photosynthesis to occur, what are the things required? I told you the carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. They are the raw materials, right? So here what happened? All these things are being utilized. It has been used by the plants and then they prepare the food. Okay? So as a result, what are the products which are being formed? Glucose. And they are carbohydrates and water. This water molecule which is being used, it is splitted into hydrogen as well as oxygen. And how do the plants get water? With the help of the roots, right? The roots absorbs the water from the soil and it is distributed to various parts of the plant. Clear? So the site where photosynthesis occur is known as the chloroplast. Then where is this chloroplast present? The chloroplast is present in the, what is this? It is in the leaves, right? The leaves contain the chloroplast, and inside the chloroplast there is presence of a pigment called as chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll, it traps the sunlight and helps to perform the process of photosynthesis. Clear? Now, so now when I talk about the examination point of view, there are some steps which are important or they occur during the process of photosynthesis. It is very important, these points, so which usually takes place during the photosynthesis. So then what are the steps occur or takes place during the photosynthesis? The first and foremost thing is, what happens is absorption of light by chlorophyll. As I told you, the leaves contain the chlorophyll, right? So these chlorophyll, they absorb the solar light, the sunlight, and it is being converted into chemical energy. That means the light energy is converted into chemical energy. So next step, what happens? So absorption of light energy over, so then absorbed energy is being converted to chemical energy, right? So then what else? What happened? So next what happens is splitting of water molecules takes place. As I told you, the H2O, the water molecules, is splitted into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and in the product we also have seen that the carbon dioxide is being used, right? So this reduction of carbon dioxide takes place. The carbon dioxide is reduced into carbohydrates, that is the C6H12O6 glucose. Okay, so moving to next. So we also have come across that the leaves contain a small openings called stomata, right? So what is the importance of stomata? The stomata helps in the exchange of gases, right? Clear? So stomata or stoma, it is also surrounded by the guard cells. Which are the guard cells? You can observe here. So these guard cells, actually they help in controlling, that is the opening and closing of stoma or stomatal pore. So when it has to open, when the stomata has to open, when it has to be closed, that has been controlled by the guard cells. Okay? So next we have learnt about the second mode of nutrition, that is the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, right? So under heterotrophic mode of nutrition, I have taught you the three modes, that is three types of nutrition. The first one is the holozoic mode, then the saprophytic mode, and the parasitic mode of nutrition. So then, what is the holozoic mode of nutrition? Very simple. What is the holozoic mode of nutrition? It is the organisms where they take in the complex substances as their food. So, when I talk about holozoic, you can take the best example as the human beings. So, other than the human beings, which are the other organisms which may follow the holozoic? Some of the simple organisms like amoeba, euglena, paramecium, they also follow the holozoic mode of nutrition. But the question mark here is their organs are not so well developed like the multicellular organisms or like the human beings, even though they follow the holozoic mode of nutrition. Right? Here what happened, the holozoic nutrition, where the organisms take the food, they take the food, the complex food, that complex food is broken down into the simpler ones. Okay? So moving to the next, which we have learned, was the saprophytic, right? The saprophytic nutrition is again the organisms which depend on dead and decaying organic matter. Examples, you can just look at where the mushrooms are being grown, right? So where is mushrooms, usually they grow on dead and decaying organic matter, right? They are considered to be the saprophytes. So the last we have learned was the parasitic nutrition. Whenever I say parasite, please remember that those organisms are completely depending on the host. When I talk about the host, what happened? So you can take, for example, if the parasites like worms, if they are present inside our body, then who are the host for those organisms? We, right? We are the host because we are providing the food for those organisms for their development. Clear? Okay, next review that under heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we have learned about the nutrition in human beings, how the digestion process takes place in the human beings. Now let us quickly understand the parts which involve in the human digestion, that is the overall parts of the alimentary canal. Okay, the human alimentary canal consists of the mouth. It consists of the mouth, And the esophagus. What is esophagus? It is the food pipe. Okay. Then after esophagus, it is the stomach. Then there are two glands which are present, that is the liver and pancreas. This is the pancreas. Then followed by the small intestine, the large intestine, rectum, and the anus. Okay, so these are the parts which involve in the human alimentary canal. They're present in the human alimentary canal. They involve in the process of digestion. Okay. So the next, let us understand the mechanism of digestion of the food. So when I talk about the mechanism of the digestion of food, please understand here the digestion starts from the mouth. Mouth is the first and foremost organ in your body where the digestion, the entry of food take place. Once this food entered your body, then only what happened? Other process, it has been followed, right? Okay, what happens here is the food digestion process, it begins in the mouth. Okay, so here what happened? The complex food which we have taken inside our mouth become the simple ones. Okay, so later what happened? So what is present in your mouth? Actually, I can say the mouth as the oral cavity. Oral means it's a mouth cavity, right? So this mouth, our mouth consists of dash and dash. Correct, it is the teeth and tongue. So teeth, they actually masticate, they crush the food. Okay, followed by the tongue. What the tongue do? The tongue help in mixing up of the food. And apart from this teeth and tongue, what else is helping the food to become mixed? Exactly, correct, right? So it is none other than the enzymes. Then what kind of enzymes it is present in mouth? Right? You know it, right? So it is the saliva. We have salivary glands in our mouth. So our salivary glands secrete the saliva, and this saliva contain an enzyme called as salivary amylase. The saliva contain an enzyme called as salivary amylase. Okay, so what is the function of salivary enzymes then? The salivary enzyme, they break down the starch into simple sugars. Okay, they break down the starch into the simple sugars. Right? So followed by the mouth. Now what happened? Where does the food enters from the mouth? From the mouth, it enters to pharynx. I told you the pharynx. You can observe this region. Both the mouth and nose are having the common point called pharynx. This is a region where the food enters. Right? So from the pharynx, it moves towards esophagus. It goes towards esophagus. What is meant by esophagus then? Esophagus is it's a food pipe, right? So when the food is entering inside your esophagus, it does not just fall directly into the stomach. Instead, it takes some rhythmic movement. When you're swallowing the food, what happened? You might have observed that food is being moved slowly inside your esophagus, that is inside your food pipe, right? So that rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the esophagus, we call it as the peristaltic movement, right? The muscles which are present here in the esophagus, what happen? They take the food inside the stomach with the help of a peristaltic movement. Okay, it is called as peristalsis. Now what happened? From the mouth, it entered to esophagus. Then where does it go from the mouth? From the esophagus, it now reaches to the stomach, this region, right? So from the esophagus, I just roughly draw here, it enters to stomach. So now, what are the things present in the stomach now? The stomach contains some of the gastric glands, right? So what do these gastric glands secretes? They secretes the mucus, HCl and pepsin. Actually, these are the enzymes which are being secreted by the gastric glands. Okay, so here what does the mucus do? You know that the mucus is a slimy, slippery like substance, right? So this mucus is helping the wall of the stomach by not being corroded. Then who is going to damage the wall of stomach? Absolutely correct. It is HCl, right? The HCl, that is a hydrochloric acid, which is produced inside the stomach, may damage the wall of your stomach. So to avoid that, what happened? The mucus is being released. It has been released on the wall of the stomach. It is present on the wall of the stomach. So that what happened? The stomach will not corrode. Means it does not get any damage. Then what is the function of release of HCl? Why do the stomach need HCl? You suppose if you take the food inside, what happens? If suppose that food contain the microorganisms, so those microorganisms may harm your body, right? So to kill those microorganisms, that HCl is acting on them. I mean, the HCl, it destroys the microorganisms present in the food, and it makes the food acidic medium. As it is acid, it is creating an acidic medium in the stomach, right? Now coming to the pepsin, what is the function of pepsin? Why do pepsin is released in the stomach? The pepsin helps in the digestion of protein. Okay, so here may be another question which is asked in your examination, that may be why do the small intestine in the herbivorous is longer than the carnivorous? I mean, why the small intestine in the herbivore? Whom do we call a herbivore? The organisms which feed on the grass or the plant products. So why it is the small intestine is longer in them? Why it is not longer in the carnivorous? The answer is very simple. In the herbivorous, cellulose digestion takes place. What does takes place? Cellulose digestion takes place in the herbivorous. So for the cellulose digestion, it takes longer duration. I mean, to digest the cellulose in the small intestine, it takes longer duration. Hence, the small intestine is longer in herbivore compared to the carnivore. Very simple. Correct? Hope you all understood. So next, the important thing is, before understanding the next topic, I'll ask you a question, that whether the complete digestion takes place in the stomach. Do you have any idea about this? Does the complete digestion takes place in the stomach? Correct? No, the complete digestion does not take inside the stomach. Rather, it takes place in the next step, that is in the small intestine. So in the small intestine, the complete digestion takes place. Now what happened is, I was talking about the stomach. So from the stomach, what happened? Now the food enters to the small intestine. From the stomach, the food enters to the small intestine. What is present here? What is helping? There is a muscle here, I told you. Remember, it is a sphincter muscle, right? So sphincter muscle is helping the food to enter into the small intestine. So when the food is entering into the small intestine, what happened? There are two glands which are present, surrounded by the stomach. That is, one is this. What is this? It is the liver, right? The one more is the pancreas. Correct? So this liver secretes the bile juice. What does the liver secrete? The liver secretes the bile juice, whereas the pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice. So now what happened? From the stomach, when the food is entering into the small intestine, the liver and the pancreas adds their secretions to the small intestine. Thereby, it makes the medium alkaline. What does it make? Alkaline. What does it mean by alkaline? It is neither acidic nor basic. I mean, the food which when it was in the stomach, it was under acidic medium. Correct? So this food now, as it entered to the small intestine, it becomes the alkaline medium. So now what I was telling was, the next step I was telling that where the complete digestion takes place. So the complete digestion takes place in the small intestine. Okay, so small intestine receives the secretions from the pancreas and the bile from the liver. What happens here? The bile which is being secreted by the liver, it help in the emulsification of fats. What is meant by emulsification? It is that breaking down. What is being breaking down here? What is going to break down? The larger fat globules are breaking down into the smaller ones. So this is what we call it as emulsification. Okay, emulsification of fats takes place with the help of bile salts. Okay, whereas the pancreas also secretes pancreatic enzymes, right? So there are actually 3 pancreatic enzymes. I told you in my previous class. Do you remember? So which are the 3 that is the enzymes which are being released by the pancreas? So it is trypsin. So here I have given only trypsin. What are the other 2 enzymes which have been released other than the trypsin? So the first one was the trypsin. What was the other 2? It is amylase, that is the pancreatic amylase. And other than the amylase, what else? It is the lipase or lipase. So these are the 3 enzymes that are being released by the pancreas. The pancreas secrete trypsin, amylase and lipase. Okay, so then what is the role of this? I mean, the secretion has to perform some function, right? What is the role of trypsin? This trypsin, it helps in the digestion of protein. I mean, it converts the protein into amino acids. I repeat, the trypsin converts the protein into amino acids. What else? What about the amylase? Amylase converts the carbohydrates into glucose. Right? Then what about the lipase? Lipase, they convert the fat into fatty acids and the glycerol. Right? So these are the main things which happens. So when the secretions from the both liver as well as the pancreas, it has been produced, it has been added to the food from the stomach to the small intestine. So as I was telling you that the complete digestion takes place in the stomach. Once the food is completely digested, then where does it enter? This small intestine. I'm just drawing the small intestine now. So this small intestine, the wall of small intestine have the finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections are enriched with the blood vessels. They're enriched with the blood vessels. And now what happens is, once the food is digested completely inside the small intestine, it enters to this villi. The completely digested food, the assimilated food, it has been absorbed by the villi. So villi are richly supplied with the blood vessels. It absorbs the food and it has been transported. It has been sent to the various parts of the body. How does it send? It sends the food through the blood, because the blood is the transporting system. Right? Blood is present everywhere in our body. So through the blood, what happened? The villi transports the nutrients. Okay? So hope you all have got a clear picture about how the complete digestion takes place in small intestine. Right? So now the final thing. So the digestion is over. The complete digestion is over. Some waste materials are left out now. Means they are called as the undigested food. Now where does this undigested food goes then? So the undigested food, it is being sent from the small intestine to the large intestine. Right? So from this small intestine, what happened? It is getting connected to the large intestine. Okay. So through this large intestine, what happened? The undigested or the waste food is being sent out. How does it sent out? Through the rectum, and it is being expelled out through the anus. It comes out through the anus. So this is how the complete digestion takes place in the human beings.